Hi, welcome to YouTube Studio Desart.com, and today we'll show you a step-by-step guide on how to properly equip this photo booth with its internal components, so it can start making money. First, there is a part right here that you can remove. Then there is just an open hole left, and you can put any monitor in there, such as a 13-inch touchscreen, or you can simply use our system. It features a custom 3D printed frame that fits right into the space and perfectly holds an iPad in place. An iPad is the primary solution we recommend. With an M series chip, your iPad will last for several years. For the installation, we need 4 screws. To get started, you are going to need several nuts and some flat washers as well. We are going to begin the assembly process by installing the bottom part of the unit first. For this specific bottom section, I highly recommend that you use the longer screws provided in your kit, while saving the shorter ones to be used later for the top section to ensure everything is secured properly. Yes, that is exactly correct. So, we'll set aside the remaining screws to use later on. This frame is specifically designed for iPads ranging from 8.3 to 13 inches, covering models from the iPad mini to the iPad Pro or Air. This is all thanks to the versatile frame, which you can expand or shrink to fit your needs. Alright then, let's go ahead and carefully put the iPad in just like this. But before we place the protective covers back on, we are going to need a cable, an extension for the iPad. That simply means we are going to need a right-angled USB-C connector for this setup. Now, we are going to take this piece and carefully slide it right into the designated hole we have here. You want to make sure it fits snugly and aligns perfectly with the opening. There we go. That looks just right. Now that it is in place, we can move on to the iPad. We will gently tuck the tablet into the photo booth housing, making sure it sits securely within the internal frame so it stays protected and functional throughout the entire process. Now for some manual assembly work, which is a little bit trickier because we need to carefully put these specific screws, the smaller ones, in place exactly in this manner. Next, we are going to try and aim for that small hole located right in the back of the unit. There we go. Now we have successfully managed to get all of those mounting screws securely in place. As a result of this, we now have the iPad beautifully and securely connected to the system. It looks fantastic and is ready to go. Okay then, moving right along to the next step in our process, essential part of this setup. The next very important piece of equipment is the camera that goes right on the shelf over there, and we'll place it on a so-called Z-Flex. What we have here is a tripod or a tripod head. Of course, we're Falcam enthusiasts, so we have a Falcam quick release plate right here, and this professional tripod setup will be securely attached in a way that looks something like this. And for that, we need a camera screw. We'll mount the unit right over there. Either you mount the camera directly onto this spot, or like us, you use a Falcam. The shelf is now completely ready to be installed now. There, tuck. The next step is the camera, and we recommend the cheapest option to start, the Canon R100, which actually perfectly fulfills the photo booth function and won't break your budget. But before we start putting any cables in, our photo booth actually features built-in cable management. It's used to keep the cables in your photo booth organized, and the system is simple. You just need ordinary zip ties to attach the specific components we're about to discuss. We have the iPad ready, the heart of the whole machine, and we have the camera ready. And we'll start specifically with the camera's power supply. You definitely don't want a battery in the camera and have to monitor its status. So we recommend using something called a dummy battery, which is basically a battery for the mains. And definitely get the version with an adapter, because this simple version didn't work for us for some reason. Maybe it's us, maybe it's the dongle, maybe it's the camera that they're not compatible, we don't know. But this camera works with this adapter. By the way, all the things we're showing and connecting are in the description below. But before we actually put any cables inside, let's get everything properly organized. We have to keep in mind that the hole, this part right here, comes out in the corner where the cable space is located. The cable has to go out just like this, so that we keep it as clean as possible. There we go. Right over there. So we have the camera ready, now let's connect the iPad. For the iPad, I recommend not buying cheap hubs. We recommend getting an anchor. That's something that's worked for us for years and we're happy with it. The power supply goes into the hub and the camera cable. We have to plan for that in advance so we have enough space. Regarding power delivery or PD. Now, another choice that is entirely up to you, but we highly recommend it and always do it ourselves, is using a flash power supply. Of course, if you have your own flash, like many photographers do, the Godox V1 standard, plus a Godox adapter, and you have a wireless solution. As for the setup, we recommend and use a cable whenever possible, which is why we use this flash. This is also from Godox, and on top of that specific flash unit, we put a beauty dish. You can use an umbrella or you can use some other reflector, most of which are significantly larger, but this provides us with the exact lighting result that we really want and that we like. So now we have to figure out exactly where we need to position this cable. Let's just say that it's all neat. Once we have it perfectly organized and tidy like this, we can strategically position it in the pre-designated location and use standard everyday mounting screws for it. There. And now let's go through it cable by cable. This is the battery. That has to go up. Thanks to Falcom, we have it out right away. Cameras have a rubber band here, specifically for the cable. So, once we carefully put the battery in there, we can go ahead and close the door. We will be powering the iPad directly from the hub, so we basically need to plug the cable from the hub into the iPad extension. Additionally, we also need to lead the flash cable all the way up. So, let's bring it up once again. We will be using the flash trigger to fire the unit, but to make sure the trigger fits perfectly and doesn't cause any issues, depending on which specific model you get, we will use an extension cable for the camera. And now we finally have the trigger. Now we need to bring some juice into this system. You can use an extension cable that you have at home. We definitely recommend one with surge protection, and we definitely recommend one that has USB-C and USB built in to save space on an adapter. Simply push the cable through the hole down to the floor, and this cube will stay on top. There's even a switch here. First, I'm reaching for the flash. So this is the camera, and this white one here I know is the iPad. We'll put that right here. Only the flash will lead out. This is basically what the system looks like, just two cables, one for the flash. And as we said, it doesn't even have to be if you don't have one. And this metal thing gets attached to the top using only 4 screws. And then the flash goes right on top and the cable into the flash. And we can also neatly secure it here. There. So, as the very last thing we are going to do, we'll connect up the camera. The cable you need, and that we highly recommend, is a high-quality tethering cable. The fastest cable, don't look at this one too much, because we took this from the studio. You should definitely get a shorter one. One connector goes into the hub, and we'll thread the other connector up. And plug it into the camera. And if we've plugged everything in correctly, then we'll plug the cable into the mains. Turn on the power. Turn on the camera. Turn on the flash. We'll set the trigger to the same channel. In our case, it's channel 30, because we use those lower channels at weddings. And now when we turn it towards ourselves, let's snap a quick photograph. It is a bit overexposed and it hasn't been set up quite correctly, but it works. We'll also set up the printer on the side and plug it in, but that's for another time. Anyway, we have the photo booth plugged in and ready to go. You can purchase this premium version or the 3D printed one directly on our eShop. If you happen to have a 3D printer at home, you can buy the digital files and print the whole booth yourself. It is actually the exact same model, just made from a different material. So that's that. Check the description. There's all the information, the whole guide, the whole manual on how to plug it in, what you need for it, and with a link to Amazon. Just check it out, and I'll see you in the next video soon.